Hi, I'm Mick McAuley. I'm out here on the West Coast. I'm doing a handful of house concerts all the way from Seattle last night all the way down to mostly in California, and for about 9 or 10 days. Well, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a very musical family, and all my brothers and sisters all played music, and I'm second youngest in the family, so I was sort of listening to music. They were all playing by the time I was born, so I was listening to music in the house in that way, and it just seemed a very natural progression to play music. And they tell me, I don't really remember what they were saying, they tell me that I was chomping at the bit, so to speak, to get out to the music lessons and get out and learn my tin whistle and whatnot, and eventually they allowed me to do that. So I sort of, like, it was just part of life, and I guess I thought that everybody played music up to a point until we went to school, and then I realised that maybe everyone didn't. So, but it was great. My parents, they were very, they drove us up and down the country to all the competitions and the festivals and the flas and sessions, and then eventually when we all got a little older, I suppose we had a family band, and we would go and do these concerts up the country, and even on school nights you could be doing a concert up in Mullingar, like 2 hours away, and not get home till maybe 1-2 a.m. and it was school the next day. It was straight in. There was you got no break from the school, but it was fun, and I guess as time goes on, I appreciate that more and more, like the amount of time that my parents dedicated to bringing us places and exposing us to a lot of the older musicians that were in Ireland at the time. And again, you only start to realise later on how privileged a position we were in to get to sit in beside these master musicians, really, and just be in their company and listen to them play, and then eventually they might ask you to play a tune with them, and so you'd sit in as a kid and play your party piece and whatnot, and you would get a reaction, I guess, from them, and you would I think what was as important as the music was you learned a sort of an etiquette in the session, and I look back on that now and see that how important that was. So that was how I grew up. It was all Irish music. There wasn't a whole pile of room in our lives for other music. We played classical piano and stuff, but it really was about Irish traditional music. That was my dad's passion, really, and so that's mostly what we listened to until I hit my teens, and like my brothers and sisters, we started listening to other music, rock and roll and pop music and whatever was going at that time. But like they all mean different things to me. All the different instruments. My first instrument was the tin whistle, and therefore, I suppose, it's no longer the most natural thing to play, because I didn't play a lot of whistles and flutes for years, but I'm back playing a bit more now. The low whistle, the whistles, I do like to pick them up from time to time, and I play a few tunes in every show that I do on the tin whistle. The accordion, I suppose, would be the thing that I've clocked up the most miles on. I've put in, just in the session thing, really, and doing shows, and the accordion is what I've been most well known for, and probably what I've spent most time doing. But over the last several years, I think I'm spending more time playing guitar and writing. And while I certainly don't consider myself virtuosic on the guitar by any means, but it has served and I've tried to bring it to a standard where it can serve as a vehicle for the songs that I am writing, and some of the traditional songs that I do. And so that's really the purpose of the guitar for me. I suppose all in all, I'm enjoying singing more than anything these days, and that really is what I'm that's what I'm trying to develop the most. And I'm trying to write a lot of songs at the moment, original songs, sort of based in the Irish tradition, but outside of that as well. So I'm hoping that that's what the next album is mostly songs. I wandered these valleys with the one I love best, but those dreams of youth have vanished, and now I am far away. So farewell unto you, Bonnie, Bonnie, sleep, gallant praise. It's a broad range, everything from a couple of songs from an old album, the first solo album that I did. I don't even know what year, and if I did I wouldn't say. But it was on Shanachie Records. It's called An Ocean's Breath. There's a couple of songs after that I do. A couple of traditional songs off the most recent album that's called Highs and Bellows that I done with Colin McQueeve, great guitar player from my hometown in Kilkenny. I do a couple of songs from that. I may, if I feel like it, if you know, sometimes people ask for a couple of songs out of the Shamrock City thing. Sometimes I do those. So yeah, there's just sort of just 10-12 songs that I'll draw from at the moment, and all during this run now it's sort of singing certain songs trigger memories of other songs that I maybe did in the past and don't do anymore. So or somebody might ask for them, and so I may just chance it, and even if I haven't done it in a while, I'll just, because that's the good thing about the house concerts, I think, is there's a lot more leeway, and everybody's on your side anyway, and it's just a more casual setting. I think that you can take more risks really, and have a go at stuff, and it's all okay. I mean, you know, we're all friends, you know. That sort of and that's what I like about the house concert thing, is that there's, although the intimacy of the gig it presents a different atmosphere, I think ultimately there's sort of less of a pressure because there is a friend, you know, there's a very community based attitude really, so I like that and I enjoy that, and it's a great place to try out some stuff as well. I got a call to go down and meet Sting and Rob Mattis, who was the musical arranger for The Last Ship. And The Last Ship was a Broadway, well at this time it was a musical show on its way to Broadway. They were home, and it was going to debut in Chicago, Broadway in Chicago. And this was a project that Sting and Rob Mattis had been working on for, I think it was close to 4 or 5 years. And it was a story, sort of loosely autobiographical by Sting, about the place where he comes from, Wall's End, outside Newcastle. in England and in the UK, and it's a shipbuilding community, and so he had set the story in the shipyards of Wallsend. And I had always been a fan of Sting all the way back through the Police and after that. And I listened to, he had already recorded most of the songs, such as they were at that point, on an album. And I just thought it was great. Like it was sort of had built a bridge to, I felt like traditional folk music, English traditional folk music in that case. But he had sort of built this bridge to everything else he had done in his career through the story and certainly stylistically through the music. And that just, I thought that, like he had done it so well, I felt. And so they asked me, it was sort of an accordion heavy or a melodeon heavy score, that's the terminology that they, like the accordion and melodeon are more or less the same instrument, but in English folk music they tend to refer to it as the melodeon. So it was a melodeon score, technically speaking, and it was sort of a melodeon heavy score. And so they needed someone to play it. And so I was more than happy to do that. And it was a great experience. It was sort of in the orchestra pit, and there was, like Rob Mathis had done some amazing orchestral scores and arrangements. And it was great. The whole thing just sort of gelled together, and it was a very enjoyable experience. And I think I learned a lot, and it was great. Like the spirit of the whole thing was very strong, and there was a great camaraderie, and all the way from Sting himself to everybody involved, there was a great passion for this project. And sadly, it didn't maybe run as long as everybody would have liked. But I think it's coming back up, and it's hitting the stage in England sometime in 2018. So I hope that it sort of has a life beyond the few months that it went on Broadway, because I think it should be heard, and it is an amazing piece of work. And I think Jimmy Nail, who did the lead in New York, is going to be doing the lead in the UK, where he's from as well, so it'd be nice for them. Yeah. I listen to anything. I know that's a cop-out, but I don't actually listen to that much Irish music these days. I think growing up, the accordion players that I was influenced were originally a guy called Joe Burke from County Galway, Galway's own, they say, and Joe is still around and still playing. He's a legend. I loved his style of playing because it was so not clinical but crisp and accurate, and he sort of came out of a time where some of the accordion playing before the likes of Paddy O'Brien and him was a bit rougher. So I listened a lot to him, and then eventually I listened to Jackie Daly, who was a great accordion player. Ended up playing with Dave Dannon and whatnot. He was a big influence on me, and when I got to meet him, he was very encouraging. And I was probably 14 or 15 when I met him, and what I loved about the way he played was it was fun. And he sort of used to, we'd call it in the Irish vernacular, we'd call it, he was full of devilment in the music. He would play around with it, and it was a bit of mischief, I suppose you'd say, in it. And I like that. Even still, in sessions, I like that little mischievous bit of thing that sort of makes people have fun with it. He sort of definitely taught me that. As I said before, my parents, or my dad as well, as much as anyone, sort of brought us and exposed us to some great music. Back in the day, I remember, meeting and hanging out a little bit with Liam Weldon, the great Dublin singer. He had a big influence on me. He sort of took me under his wing in the short time that I got to spend with him, and I learnt a lot from him, both singing and just about stuff. Sadly he passed away, relatively not young, but before he should have. Uh, Len Graham, I loved Len Graham singing in the Irish thing, and then of course, you know, when you go broader than that, like, you know, I was a Dylan fan, Neil Young, like Mark Knopfler. I was a big fan of that. I was a big Queen fan, massive Queen fan, and I had all those records and like those harmonies and stuff like that. Like me and my buddy who wasn't into Irish music at all, I was just talking to him on the phone there, but he had all the Queen stuff, so I go down to his house because we weren't playing that stuff in our house. So we go down and put it on his turntable and listen to all that, like, you know, Status Quo and that. Like, I remember the first Now record, Now That's What I Call Music, is a huge thing over in Europe, you know, it's like a compilation of the hits of that year, and I remember listening to Now One, you know, so and I don't know what they're on now. It was all, you know, just basically all that stuff at the time of, you know, Aha, Nick Kershaw, Alison Moyet, all that stuff. I used to listen to all that, and these days I like. I think I'm drawn to some dark stuff as well. Like I like Nick Cave, of course Tom Waits. You know, there's some of this the writing is just incredible, and now I suppose I'm listening more to the you know, the songs and the content of the songs more than maybe, you know, pop music or anything. Is like, you know, it's gotta be a strong theme song, or, you know, what's it trying to address, I suppose. And Dick Gahan was he was a big influence as well, you know, the fact that he was addressing these issues you know, in a fearless manner. That really influenced me as well. So many, yeah. And you know, I'll still stick on a Dire Straits record and it'll be as good as ever I heard it, you know. Well, I'm in the middle of writing an album. I hope to get that finished. I'm not rushing it, but I have more time now over the next, over this winter. I'm hoping to be in a position to record that in the spring, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I haven't really decided the path for it. I just want to get it written, and then I think I'm not concerning myself even at the moment in the writing of it as to how it'll even sound, or what musical setting it will have. I'm just trying to write it and keep going with it, and I'm really enjoying that. It's the first time I've sort of approached a project like that with no pressure on it, but no pressure other than from myself. And so I'm really enjoying that, and I've realised that I really would like to do a lot more of that. And so I'm doing a lot of several collaborations with other writers at the moment, and I'm open to that and reaching out to people to co-write. I have a few different projects that I'm involved in. I was just in New York there writing for a week, and so yeah, I'm involved in a couple of projects that are theatre based as well, with music, and that's been fun. And I guess with Solace, when we had done the Shamrock City album, that was sort of headed into a theatrical world, and sadly it didn't you know, come to fruition. But I went from that into The Last Ship, and then it sort of has whet my appetite for this theatre setting, not musical theatre in the conventional, you know, as what we all sing and all dancing, but theatre that has a musical aspect to it. I'm fascinated with that, and I'm trying to I suppose be involved and attract work like that at the moment. So it's mainly mainly writing at the minute that's sort of inspiring me.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, on a side note, are you interested in like film scores?
I would be, but I haven't gone down that. I think that's a very specialised thing. I was just listening to the soundtrack on the way up here today, the Nick Cave soundtrack for Wind River, as well. And again, it's just like it underscores what a specific skill set I think that is. And I've been to some seminars that explore that, but I just haven't been able to open time for that yet, and so I'm still dealing with sort of lyrics and songs at the moment. But of course, I mean, if the phone rang, of course I'd jump in. Absolutely, I would. I'd love to do that. Oh, thanks for listening to my music, and hopefully there'll be a new album soon, and hopefully I'll see you at a gig either on this run on the West Coast or somewhere in 2018. I'm hoping I'll probably be back out on the road more than I have been the last couple of years. So I'm looking just. I took a couple of years off, I suppose, or I at least definitely scaled down my touring over the last 2 years. But I'm sort of I've gotten itchy feet again, so I'm going to be back out again a bit more in 2018 and 19.